Have you ever cracked open a book and literally felt like you were just transported to another world? We've all been there, right? But what if that wasn't just your imagination playing tricks on you? What if your love of reading was actually a literal, magical defense against the absolute chaos of the universe? Today, we are exploring a story that asks exactly that.
Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to guide you through our source material today. We're looking at John Coley's captivating Ermine fantasy, The Bookworm. We're going to decode exactly why this story isn't just a thrilling ride for a middle grade reader, but honestly, a profound developmental tool. Like, why would a young person enjoy this story so much? And how could they genuinely benefit from reading it? We'll answer those questions by looking closely at the text. So let's dive right in. Here is our roadmap for The Explainer today. We'll be covering magic in the everyday, reading as a superpower, facing middle grade anxieties, forging a unique identity, and finally, why young readers benefit. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, Magic in the Everyday, the Window of Fantasy.
The core hook of this story for a young reader is just brilliance. On one hand, we have Brian's highly relatable, mundane life. He's your typical fifth grader. He walks to school, tries to get to class on time, avoids this creepy footbridge in the park, eats dinner with his parents, the usual stuff. But then, Coley brilliantly drops this chaotic, magical reality right smack into this ordinary setting. Imagine this. One morning, Brian is rushing to school and literally trips over a fire-breathing dragon. In the woods. I mean, what? And later, an 8-foot ogre just completely tears apart his living room. This stark juxtaposition, ordinary kid meets extraordinary chaos, is exactly what makes the tone so highly engaging and just flat-out entertaining for middle-grade audience.
So how does the protagonist fit into all this? Let's look at reading as a superpower, redefining the protagonist. See, Brian isn't your typical sword-swinging action movie hero. Not at all. He's a timid, introverted scholarship kid who would much rather get lost in thick, ancient books than play tag on the playground. But the story takes this perceived weakness and flips it entirely on its head, mostly through his substitute teacher, Mr. Dyer. Dyer reveals this massive secret to Brian, completely redefining the very word bookworm. In this world, it's not a nerdy insult. A bookworm is an ancient magical defender. They are literally the only ones who can sense the magical firmament and hold back the chaos of the Abzu, which is this ancient realm actively trying to bleed into our world. The crucial takeaway here is how this narrative specifically empowers quiet, young readers. The source text explicitly states that reading is Brian's superpower. Think about that. His naturally large vocabulary and his introverted habit of deeply analyzing texts, those are framed as the exact skills required to sense magical energy and close the doorways to the Abzu. If you're a kid who just loves sitting quietly with a book, this story is basically telling you that your natural tendencies are the ultimate weapons against chaos. It totally validates the quiet kid as the ultimate protector. It's a real game changer. Now let's peel back another layer. We're moving on to facing middle grade anxieties, the metaphor of the monsters. We're pivoting here from the fantasy window to the developmental mirror. Take Brian's evolving relationship with that creepy footbridge in the park. At first, he experiences this intense, irrational fear and avoids it entirely, literally jumping a stream to get around it. But as the story progresses, this growing compulsion forces him to finally face it. And when he actually steps onto that bridge, the magic reveals the true source of his dread. It's a horrific, child-tormenting troll. He physically defeats it, and suddenly the fear completely vanishes. This brilliantly illustrates a core developmental lesson. The physical battle with the troll perfectly mirrors a middle schooler learning to face, process, and regulate their own irrational emotional fears and daily anxieties. It's so clever. Mr. Dyer delivers a really powerful truth about all this. He explains that the monsters from the Abzu represent pure chaos. And honestly, fighting this chaos serves as a brilliant allegory for growing up. Think about it. For a young reader, life often feels totally unpredictable and overwhelming. It's kind of like a dragon suddenly appearing right in your path. By learning to snuff it out at the root, Brian isn't just banishing magical creatures. He is actively learning how to manage internal panic and navigate the wild, chaotic unpredictability of adolescence. Which brings us to our next core theme, forging a unique identity. Breaking the cycle. Because beneath all the magical monster fights, there lies a very real, incredibly mature psychological struggle. Throughout the text, Brian harbors this deep-seated, silent dread about his uncle Chadwick, who is currently institutionalized. Brian's fears are incredibly heavy for a kid. He is terrified of inheriting his family's severe mental illness. He fears becoming isolated and afraid of his own shadow. And most pressingly, when Brian starts seeing these dragons and ogres, he is absolutely petrified that he's falling into the exact same maniacal rantings about otherworldly creatures that plagued his uncle. This deeply grounds the fantasy in a profound, relatable search for identity.
But then we hit the emotional turning point of the story, and it's anchored beautifully by Brian's mother. Right after that terrifying ogre attack in their own living room, she gives him this incredibly poignant reassurance. She says, "You are your own person, always have been. Never forget that." It's a beautifully simple yet crucial developmental lesson. It speaks directly to young readers who might be harboring their own worries about family dynamics or inheriting negative traits, teaching them that they are absolutely not doomed to repeat the cycle of their family's past.
And the narrative resolves this anxiety just perfectly. When Mr. Dyer finally reveals the truth about the bookworms, it is the ultimate sigh of relief for Brian. Discovering that he is actually a magical defender and, importantly, not losing his mind, finally gives him the strength to completely separate his destiny from his uncle's tragic fate. He accepts his unique identity with newfound confidence, truly transitioning from a fearful boy into a highly capable protector of his own territory.
So, how do we bring all these puzzle pieces together? Let's look at why young readers benefit. The takeaway. When we look at the story this way, it perfectly explains why this specific blend of entertainment and growth is just so impactful. Every fun, magical plot point, what we call the window, directly parallels a crucial step in emotional development, the mirror. Let's break it down. Escaping a fire-breathing dragon, that mirrors the real-world process of managing sudden anger and panic. Learning ancient bookworm magic, that is actually a metaphor for embracing your unique, quiet personality traits and seeing them as literal strengths. And physically defeating a bridge troll, that's a direct stand-in for conquering everyday social and physical anxieties. This dual layer is exactly why a middle-grade reader would devour the story and how they subconsciously benefit from reading it. We've seen how John Coley's text seamlessly weaves a thrilling fantasy with deep, resonant developmental milestones. So I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question to wrap up our explainer today. If a bookworm can hold back the chaos of a magical world, what real-world chaos can reading help you conquer? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the pages, and as always, keep exploring.